The Voice miserably failed in October last year, but joining us now is One Nation MP Sarah Game, who has been calling for the repeal of South Australia's state-based voice. Sarah, great to see you as always. So, South Australia had one of the highest votes against the Voice. Yet now you're going to have a state-based voice. So does democracy not count for anything anymore? What's going on, Sarah?
That's right. So what I've done actually is last year, after 64% of South Australians voted against the federal voice, I introduced a piece of legislation called the Voice Repeal Bill, which essentially removes a piece of legislation that our parliament decided to pass without consulting the people early last year to establish a First Nations voice. And when people ask me, well, what will this bill do? This bill will essentially remove what the government has committed, which is to establish a new bureaucracy of over 100 members. So there will now be over 100 members established here to represent the First Nations people at a cost of over $10 million. And those people actually aren't obliged to do very much. So once we've established the legislated resourcing and remuneration for these individuals, they are not even required to turn up to Parliament if we request them to do so.
Rita.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. Can you tell us what debate there was before this legislation was passed? Were the Liberals opposing this? Was there any sort of debate in the lead up to the election about the issue?
Look, apparently this was a Labor election promise. I think that's come as a surprise even to many Labor voters. And I just want to make the point that even those who possibly may have supported the concept of a First Nations voice to Parliament, they did not understand and they were not informed of the size and the cost. At the time of the debate, I think Labor were hoping for a unanimous parliamentary vote on this. In the end, it was split. Liberals were late to form their opinion. I came out straight away because we just simply don't believe on supporting people based on ancestry or heritage. People in this state and in this country need to be supported on their need. We've got a cost of living crisis here in South Australia. We have families that can't afford their groceries for their children. They can't afford their rent. They're living in cars. And instead of putting our money to help all South Australians in need, we are establishing a new bureaucratic arm.
James.
So I'm just curious, though. I mean, I'm sure that along with spending all of this money on this representative body and a bureaucracy and a lot of people who wind up collecting money out of this, what are they doing to help people in the Indigenous communities that people are not somehow connected in and are wind up getting onto this particular gravy train?
Well, we're actually having the elections coming up very soon. So I think on the 16th of March, the elections will be held. The nominations have been closed. We find out who the nominees are on Monday. Those individuals have been nominated by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders in those local communities. So you must be Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander to vote, as according to the three-part test of identifying as Aboriginal, and being accepted into an Aboriginal community. And then those elections will take place on the 16th of March. With regards to your question on how we actually make sure that the people are represented, I think we've really failed to do that. When you establish a voice that contains over 100 members and you include in the piece of legislation establishing that it is purely at the whim of that voice, whether they actually represent themselves to Parliament or not, I think that's a complete and utter failure.
Sarah Game, doing a great job there for One Nation there in South Australia, and you're absolutely right. What can people do, Sarah, to kind of support you in this fight?
Well, I have had various petitions on my social media if people want to have a look at that. And I suggest they write to their local member of Parliament. I mean, we already have members of Parliament on good salaries there to represent all people of South Australia. They're the people that we need to be looking to fix this issue, not paying another 100 members.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Sarah. Great to chat to you as always. And you thought out there that you voted no to the Voice, but it looks like our politicians have very, very different ideas. Lots more coming up in a tick.